So once again, welcome everyone to, gosh, this is week number 5. I can't remember. So here on our low intermediate class. Okay, so before we begin, we're getting into a new season, right? We're almost into fall or autumn, and a lot of people like to go camping and maybe they like to cook outside. So here is a very popular food that we like to make, a very popular, delicious food. So I was going to ask anybody if you know the ingredients to s'mores. Have you guys heard of s'mores before? Do you know about s'mores? Anybody know about these?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Tell us, Santiago. What can you tell us?
I know I know that this candy it's from Canada and United States, and it's like you use Hershey's and
Uh-huh.
these crackers and,
What else? So
and
chocolate.
yeah, and what else it's called marshmallow.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Marshmallows. Yeah.
Yeah.
So has anybody made s'mores before? Anybody tried it? No? Oh, it's so delicious. So Santiago, have you made them before?
I made it like 2 months ago.
Okay. Well, you can make it, of course, you can make it inside. You can make it on your stove or in your microwave, but it's better if you do it while you're camping. So maybe if you guys like to go camping. But anyway, it's a delicious food that we like to make, and especially when we go camping. So this is what it looks like.
Oi,
Yeah, so we take
my
marshmallow, you
nose.
put them over. Have you tried it, Sergey?
Yeah, hello, Mr. Reynolds.
How are you, Sergey?
Good, thank you.
So, Sergey, have you tried s'mores before?
What?
Have you tried s'mores before? See here on the screen. Have you tried these before?
Куда?
So with graham cracker, marshmallow, and chocolate. Do you see those on the screen?
Uh, some, sometimes.
Yeah?
No, marshmallow, it's not my favorite food.
Not your favorite. Yeah, it's not my favorite either.
Maybe any cakes, maybe pastries. Not marshmallow.
Well,
Chocolate, I love chocolate.
yeah,
Maybe some fruit cake. Maybe tiramisu, not
yeah,
marshmallow.
not marshmallow. Well, actually, I don't like marshmallows either, but when you cook them, for some reason, they taste better. They do. And you put them with chocolate and graham crackers and you push them together. So, Miriam, you said you've tried it, right? And you said it's delicious. Is that true, Miriam? Do you like them? She says it's delicious. Well, I recommend. So, guys, this fall, I would recommend making some s'mores. So it's real simple. Just put the marshmallows see over the fire. Take the graham cracker, put them together. There you go. Of course, there's a reason why I wanted to mention s'mores and the ingredients, and that's because today we're going to talk more about collocations and how we put words together in language. So, for example, when we talked about the ingredients to s'mores, we mentioned chocolate, marshmallows, and graham crackers. Now, for some reason, we always put it together in that order: chocolate, marshmallows, graham crackers. So the question is why, and we'll see. We'll talk about it here in just a moment. Well, anyway, I want to kind of welcome everybody here. So again, greetings. We're going to do a little activity, practicing some collocations this morning. And these collocations are things that we use a lot in English. I'll show you some examples here. Then we're going to do a little vocabulary review from our Burlington English lessons. And then we're going to talk more about collocations, and especially the article that we had in our Burlington English lesson called Community Gardens. So if you've read the article and done the activities, that's great, but we are going to review it a little bit here today. So we'll read it again, and then we'll sign in at the end. Okay, so here is our kind of greetings activity for this morning. So last week we talked about collocations. Now, if you were not here last week, hopefully you watched the video. But if you were not here last week, we're going to review collocations in just a moment. But we're going to try just a little fun exercise. And we're going to see, do you know some of these very common collocations that we use here in the United States. So, for example, we mentioned the s'mores, right? Chocolate, marshmallow, graham crackers. So the idea is to think about how we put words together. And as you will notice here in the United States, and of course in every language, we always have a specific way of putting words together. So we're going to try a little exercise, and I'm going to show an example here first. Okay, so here is our example. So guys, let's use the chat box. Okay, so we're going to use the chat box for this activity. So I'm going to put this on the screen, and you tell me in the chat box, what do you think is the missing word? Okay, so here's the example. All right, so here are here's a collocation that is very common to us here in the United States. Okay, so it's something, white, and blue. Okay, so use the chat box. Let's see who can tell us the answer. Who knows the answer here to the word that's missing? Okay. All right, now Fatiha says the flag. Okay, you're close, Fatiha. You're very close. But who can tell us? Aha! Congratulations, Elaine. Elaine has told us red. So, of course, Elaine and Fatiha, your answers are kind of going together here. So, yes, the answer is red, white, and blue. Now, what does that red, white, and blue mean? Well, as Fatiha says, it's the American flag. It's the colors that we use of the American flag. So in this case, it's the stripes that we see. Yes, these are called stripes. So in our citizenship class last week, we talked about the stripes on the flag. Now, here's an interesting question. Why do we always say the red, white, and blue? Sometimes when people talk about the flag of the United States, they don't say flag. They don't even say stars. Sometimes they just say the colors. So they will say, there's the red, white, and blue. Like there's the flag. So in this case, red, white, and blue means the American flag. But why do we say it? For example, we don't say blue, white, and red. We don't say that. We don't say white, red, and blue. Now, all of those colors are there, but for some reason, we say the red, white, and blue. Now, you might be confused. You might be like this person. Why? Why do we say it like this? Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. Why do we say the red, white, and blue? Well, here's my answer. I don't know. Now, Fatiha says maybe it rhymes, but the truth is it's not in alphabetical order. If we were to choose the alphabet, we would say blue, red, and white. But for some reason, red, white, and blue has a certain feeling, a certain maybe rhythm, I think is what Fatiha is mentioning. But here's the truth. The truth is, I don't know. I don't know why we say that. Well, that's because, if you remember something we said last week, collocations are natural. People put them together, and often we don't know why. And then, of course, we kind of repeat it and repeat it. Now, sometimes there is a little history behind it. Surely, yeah, there is a history or a reason, but it's a natural thing. And that can be a problem for some of us, because when we're learning English, sometimes we don't think about how these words go together. So that's what I want us to think about here this morning. Sometimes we don't know why we say it that way. It's just what we do. It's how we do it, okay? All right, so now it's your turn. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the poll feature. Now remember the poll feature, so if you have a phone or if you have the computer, the poll will appear on your screen. Now in this activity though, we're going to do a little bit of typing and writing. So again guys, you have to use the keyboard on your phone or on your computer. You're going to try to fill in the missing word. So for example, like red, white, and blue, you had to fill in the word red. So we're going to see how good you are and see if you know some of these very common collocations. So you're going to have about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and exit. All right, real quickly. So for number one, the answer is bacon and eggs. So hopefully you put the correct answer, bacon and eggs. Many years ago, I did this activity and one student said bacon and chocolate. And I thought, What? And he said, Mr. John, I like bacon and I like chocolate. And I thought, okay. But we don't say that. We say bacon and eggs. All right, number 2, the answer is peanut butter and jelly. So for some reason, we put those two things together. Do you guys like peanut butter and jelly? Anybody like it? No?
No.
Well, if you noticed, many times you'll see people call it PB&J for short. So PB&J, peanut butter and jelly. Okay, number 3, stop and go traffic. So often when we have lots of cars on the road, we call it stop and go traffic. All right, number 4, chocolate and, for some reason, we always put vanilla. I don't know why. Chocolate and, we could say chocolate and strawberry, right? Wouldn't that be better? But again, chocolate and vanilla is the answer. Okay, now I chose 2. So again, I know some of the students in the class are taking our citizenship class. So this is something we're going to talk about in our citizenship class. But for the first answer, this is from the Declaration of Independence. So this is the document that we use a lot when talking about the United States. So for some reason, we say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does anybody know what liberty means? What does liberty mean? Anybody know this word?
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom. So oftentimes you hear people talk about freedom, but again, in the Declaration of Independence, they say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, the next phrase is from the Constitution, and the phrase is the very first words of the Constitution: we the people. So again, when you look at the American Constitution, at the Constitution of the United States, those are the first words: we the people. So hopefully you got that answer. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, number 7, hopefully you got this one: salt and pepper, not sugar and pepper, salt and pepper. And then finally, the last one, I don't know if you got this one, but this is a very common American collocation: pickup truck. So anybody here have a pickup truck? Anybody drive a pickup truck?
No, my husband.
Your husband does. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of Americans, they like pickup trucks, don't they? You see lots of pickup trucks on the road. So, all right, now guys, these are some examples of some very common collocations. So again, this is a situation where for some reason as Americans, we put these words together. And in some cases, like number 1, why do we put bacon and eggs together? I don't know. Those seem like foods that we use often together. Same thing with number 2, peanut butter and jelly. Why do we put those words together? I mean, in that way, why don't we say jelly and peanut butter? Or why don't we say something else? And the answer is we don't know. Now, number 5 and number 6, of course, are part of our history. So something you'll learn about collocations is sometimes there are cultural reasons or historical reasons, but many times they just go together. Now, guys, before we finish, before we leave this screen, what I'd like for you to do in the chat box real quickly is let's think about a common food combination from your country and think about how you would say it. So in the chat box, tell me, what's a common food combination that you have from your country that you think would be an example of a collocation? So for example, like peanut butter and jelly or bacon and eggs. So maybe in the chat box, you can tell us real quickly, what's a combination of foods that always go together in your country? So share them in the chat box real quickly, okay? So what are some common foods you would put together? Okay. Okay, so Fateh says bread and olive oil. So Fateh, is that how you say it? Bread and olive oil? You don't say olive oil and bread? Is there a specific way to say it, Fatiha? Okay. And Lawanda said rice and beans. You know, here in the United States, we often say beans and rice. Okay. All right. Junko said rice and miso soup. Okay. It's interesting. Many of you are putting rice first. You know, here in America, many people put rice second. Like we might say chicken and rice or fish and rice. Okay. All right. Jamila, eggs and tomato. Really? Interesting. Okay, there you go, Santiago. Rice pudding. Okay. Amy said teriyaki chicken. That's a good one. We like that one. Bread and tea, figs and olives. Okay. Bread and butter. Okay, that's a good one, Olena. We say the same thing in the United States. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a good list. But I'm also very interested. I notice many of you put them in certain ways. So, for example, seeingly, you put what did you put? Meat and vegetables. Yeah, that's most Americans would say it that way: meat and vegetables, not vegetables and meat. Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, this looks like a pretty good list. But again, I want you to think about, do you say it exactly that way? Is it exactly in that order? So that's something to think about. Again, for Americans, for some reason, we always put the meat first, and then we put like rice or something after it. So I notice many of you put rice first, and then you put the soup or the meat afterwards. So that's interesting. So that talks a lot about, how we might organize ideas, right? And so if Fate mentions language, of course, maybe the language could also play a part. Okay. Mary mentioned butter and strawberry preserves. Now that's an interesting combination. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm getting hungry, guys. So let's go on to our next activity. Okay, guys, in our next activity, we're just going to take a couple of minutes real quickly. This is an activity that I've put together using the vocabulary from our lesson in Burlington English. So let me show you here on the screen. Then I'm going to share it in the chat box. So this is the first time we've tried this here in class. So I'm going to show you how this activity works. Let's hope it's working this morning. I've had some problems with the file, so let me see if it's going to come up here. So I had some connection issues with it yesterday. Let me see if it's going to open. Well, we'll see. I'm going to give it another minute, and maybe if I can get it to open, we might try it. But we've had some issues with this website. Okay, there it is. Okay. Now, I'm going to try this in the chat box, but let me show you how this activity works. Now, the good news is it's easy to use on your phone, and it's also easy to use on the computer. So if you use your phone, you can use your fingers, and you can move the words around on the screen. So if you notice the phrases that are in color, these are the definitions, okay? And then the words that are in white, these are the words. So what you're going to do is to match the word to its correct definition. But be careful, some of the words do not have a definition. So when I share this in the chat box, you click on the link and it should open on your screen. So I'm going to put it in the chat box right now. Okay, so everybody look in your chat box right now. Okay, and then click on the link and see if it opens for you. Okay, and again, if you're using your phone, just click on the link in the chat box on your phone and it should open on your phone. It might be a little slow, so just tell me if you have any problems. I'm going to turn off my screen for a moment. Okay, everyone, so let's go ahead and check our answers. I hope you finished. So again, if you can return to the classroom now. So on your phone, for example, you can keep your phone open. You can look at the words on the phone. Hopefully you can still hear me, and on the computer you can still see the screen. Okay, so yeah, so we're still gonna just look at the screen. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and share, and I want you guys to help me. All right, so again, I don't have the answers here. I need your help. Okay, so guys, we can use microphones if you like to talk through this one. So let's get started. So who can tell me about a room or a place to do something? What's a room or a place to do something? Can someone tell me?
Space.
Congratulations. Yes. So a space is a room or a place to do something. Okay. What is a place with animals and crops?
Farm.
Congratulations. A farm. Yes. Okay. What about something you pay?
Grocery bill. Ribbon.
We hope, right? Yeah. So when we go,
Grocery bill.
hopefully we pay the groceries, right? When we go to the store, right? We don't just take them and run. We just pay for them. Okay.
Oh.
All right. What about the next one? Something you know.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Congratulations. Okay. The next one, ready to pick or eat.
Ripe.
Ripe. Yeah. Everyone, let's say that word again. Ripe.
Ripe.
Right. All right.
Yeah. So, for example, ripe bananas, right? Ripe tomatoes. Okay. The next word, recommend. Which one is it?
Suggest.
Suggests. Very good. Okay. All right. The next one says behind the house.
Backyard.
Backyard. Yeah. Do you have a backyard? Do you guys have a backyard?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you cut the grass in the backyard? Do you mow?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Your husband. That's what husbands are for, right? Okay. Okay. Something you share with others.
Have in common.
Yeah. So, for example, yeah. So think about you guys. What do you have in common? What do you all share here in this class?
Learn English.
Yeah, learning English, right? Okay, we've got one more. Raise food.
Grow.
Yeah, grow. So if you notice, there are two words that do not have a definition on this activity. So we have balcony and we have church. Yeah. So what's a balcony, by the way? Who can tell us what a balcony is?
Space from home.
Space in the
Outside.
Yeah. So maybe you go outside from the window and you walk out into the balcony, right? Yeah. So maybe if you're in an apartment, for example, do you have a balcony in your apartment?
No, I don't have it.
No balconies in the house, right? Yeah, usually the big houses have balconies, right? Yeah, I don't have a balcony.
I have a small balcony.
Yeah, and usually in apartments they're pretty small, right? Maybe a couple of chairs and maybe if you like to grill. And then finally, what's a church? What will we call a church?
It's place to practice the religion.
Exactly. Yeah, and of course church is just one example of that, right? What are some other places where people practice religion? Mosque, right? Synagogue, if you're Jewish, right? So church is another word for it. Okay. All right. Well, guys, I'm sorry the activity was a little slow. You know, this website sometimes works pretty well and sometimes it doesn't. But I hope you can return now to the classroom. So if you guys can return now to the class, I'm going to put the thing on the screen. So again, if you're using your phone, you might have to click on the green thing at the top to return or just move the window. So I hope everybody's able to return. So this is again, first time we've tried this. So, okay, well guys, you're going to need some paper for this next activity. So if you can find your paper and pencil, let's go ahead and make sure you have that. Okay. And hopefully everyone is able to rejoin the room. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and review a little bit from last week, which was talking about collocations. So everyone, you can just say that there at your phone or computer. Say it again, collocations. Okay. Now, this word is going to be your friend. This word is really going to help you when it comes to learning language because it helps us to think about how words go together. But if you remember, we said it's words that go together naturally, which means when people use them, sometimes they don't think. It's just natural to us. Now, of course, it might be because of history. It might be because of culture. Or sometimes it's just how we put words together. Some of course, are very logical. Fatiha, you mentioned in Arabic. Well, sometimes maybe the words are in different order. That's also true in other languages too. Spanish, French, for example, often puts words in different order compared to English. So again, some of it is going to depend on the language we speak. Now, I want you to think about this. we use collocations every day. Many, many common collocations. So guys, look at the ones I'm going to share on the screen. For example, good morning. All right, everyone, let's say that. Good morning.
Morning.
Now notice we don't say bad morning. No, we don't say that. We don't say great morning. No, we don't say that. Now you might say, how is your morning? You might say great, right? But when people say hello for the first time, they usually say good morning. Yeah. So again, the reason here is, well, that's what we say. That's how we say it. Do you remember this from last week? Public parking. We practiced with the word public, right? Public parking. What were some other words we used with public? Can you remember? What were some other
Transportation.
transportation? Good.
Community.
Yeah, a public park, right?
Public garden.
Public garden,
Pool.
public pool, library. Okay, good.
House.
All right, now we mentioned food. You guys gave me some examples, but for free, Sergey mentions. Now, guys, come on. If we think about the United States, what foods do we think of the most? Well, hamburger and French fries. Yeah. Notice we don't say hamburger and salad, right? We don't say that. Now maybe you like hamburger and salad, but for some reason Americans always say hamburger and French fries. So again, I don't know why, but that's what we do. And then finally, we mentioned the flag, for example, red, white, and blue. All of these are examples of collocations, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do with the time we have left today. So we're going to go back to the article from last week in the Burlington English activity, Community Gardens. And what we are going to do is we're going to practice looking for some collocations in the article. So everyone, I'm going to share the article on the screen right now, okay? So let me pull it up on the screen. I'm sorry, not right now. Hold on. Just I forgot I have to say this. But because collocations go together naturally, they sometimes can be confusing to students. So we talked about that last week. So for example, one reason is because often we use words that may have different meanings. So for example, I'm going to show you two common expressions that we've learned from previous lessons. So everyone look at the screen real quickly. Can you remember these two examples? So here's the first one. Does anybody remember this one? This was one we talked about last week. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Okay, Fatah has given us the answer, but look on the screen. What did you see?
Mind your tongue.
Mind your tongue. Yeah. So in this case, when we say mind your tongue, it means watch what you say. Yeah, don't say that again. That's a bad word. Don't say that. Mind your tongue. Now, why did we put those words together? Well, again, one problem is the word mind has different meanings. So, and of course, why do we say tongue? Why don't we say mind your mouth? We don't say that. We say mind your tongue. So again, that's a collocation. All right, here's one more. This was from the very first week. Do you remember this one? Okay, here we go. Look at the next one. Do you remember this one?
Dogs.
The dog.
Yeah, in case you needed help, here's a little picture for you. Yeah. Yeah, so again, we said the dog days of summer. Yeah. Now this one, of course, had a history. If you remember, we talked about the history of this expression. But again, we don't say the cats, right? The cat days of summer, right? We don't say the snake days of summer. We say the dog days. This one, of course, had a history behind it. So again, that's part of the problem with collocations. Collocations make sense, but the question is why? Well, sometimes they're using meanings or they're using words that we don't always understand why. Okay, all right, now it's time for the article. So I'm going to bring the article up on the screen. And hopefully you'll be able to see it on the screen. Okay, so Fatiha, yes. So those examples were what we called idioms. So you are correct. Okay, now guys, I'm going to put this up here on the screen, and I'm going to ask some people to help me. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if I can zoom in. Let me see. Will it let me zoom in? No. Okay, there we go. I can zoom in a little bit. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask some people to help me. I'm going to start with number 1. So I've put a number next to each paragraph. And just real quickly, we're going to read the article one more time. So in case you haven't had a chance to do it, let's do it right now. So I'm going to start with that number 1, and then I'm going to ask some people to help me. So I'll start with number 1. So the story is called Community Gardens. Okay, so I'll read number 1 here. Jason Cole is growing vegetables, but not in his backyard. He can't because he doesn't have one. He lives in an apartment building. The only space he has outdoors is a small balcony. So where is his garden? It's in the Newtown Community Garden, a large public garden that a group of Newtown residents share. The group members grow mostly vegetables and some fruit. When they are ripe, each member takes some home. Okay, now Jamila, are you available?
Yes.
Okay, would you start number 2 for us there on the screen? Could you read that for us?
Okay. You can find community gardens in many different places like public parks, community centers, and schools. They all have one thing in common. They bring members of a community together and help them learn from each other. When a group of people work together in a garden, they can share their knowledge. Paul believes that he is a better gardener today because of the advice he received in the beginning from other members. They were always happy to answer his questions and give him tips. Today, he enjoys helping new members.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go to the next one. So you should see number 3 and number 4. So thank you, Jamila. Luana, are you available?
Community gardens also help people save money. Fresh fruits and vegetables in supermarkets can be expensive. In a community garden, members usually pay about $40 to join, but they can take home the vegetables they grown for free. Cole takes home lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers,
Cucumbers.
cucumbers, and potatoes, the vegetable he eats most often. My grocery bills is at least 20% lower, he says. I really feel the difference.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see, Lilia, are you available? Could you read number 4, Lilia?
Okay. If you are interested in joining a community garden, find out if there's one near you. If there isn't, suggest the idea to a local organization. They may just be waiting for someone like you to start one.
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. Okay, so we've read through the article. You guys did a great job. I'm going to zoom back out for just a moment, just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, now here is our next activity. So guys, this first let's talk a little bit together. So now that we have read the text, we're going to go back and find some co-locations. Okay, so what I'm going to do in just a moment is I'm going to share the link to the articles in the chat box. So the idea is I want each person to do, different groups of people are going to do some different things. So I'll explain in just a moment. But remember, co-locations are words that go together. Now that's important. Everyone listen again. Co-locations are words that go together, which means they work together. Now be careful. Sometimes we have words that are next to each other, but they are not working together. Okay, now let me demonstrate. Let me show you an example here. So do you see here in the red, it says, for example, over here it says in a community garden. Okay, now for example, I'm going to bring up my pen tool and I'm going to use I'll use blue for this activity. Now, for example, I see the words in a next to each other. Okay, now here's my question to you. Is this a co-location? Yes or no?
No.
No, it's not. You see, these two words are next to each other, but they're not working together. That's the first problem, is sometimes we see words next to each other, but they are not necessarily working together. Okay, now let me try another one. What if I say, let me use a different color here. Okay, what if I say community garden? Is that a collocation?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, those words are working together. Okay, now let's take a look at another example. What if I say, let me use another color here. I don't have too many colors to use. But for example, what if I said in a community garden? Is that a collocation?
No.
Are you sure?
In a community. Yeah, it's yes.
Yes. Now, actually,
if we change the sentence, maybe in A, it can be not here, right?
well, for example, when we said words that are working together, actually, Fatiha, what we have are kind of two collocations together. We have community garden, but then we also have in, right? So in a garden, that would be one collocation, and then community garden would be another one. So in this case, we actually have two, kind of one is inside of another. So it's a little confusing, but the truth is in a community garden is a collocation because we have in a garden. Okay, now here's my last question. Okay, so again, look at the sentence. What if I said in a community? Is that a collocation?
No.
No.
It should be.
This sentence, no. In this sentence, in a community is not the collocation. Community garden is the collocation, or in a community garden is a collocation. But in this case, in a community, that's not enough. Now, maybe in a different sentence, if I said, for example, I live in a community would be a collocation. But again, we have to look at the sentence in front of us. So that's kind of the problem. Often when we see words, we have to think about words working together. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about here in this next activity. Now, guys, our time is getting a little short. So I think what I'm going to do here, just to make it a little bit easier, is in the chat box right now, I'm going to share the article. Okay, so everybody, this is where you're going to need your paper. Okay, so everybody got your paper and pencil ready? Okay, all right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen for just a moment. All right, so I'm going to start with number 1. Okay, so let's see, Bune, can you tell us maybe one example of a collocation?
A large public garden.
Okay, so let's start with public garden. How about that? Okay, now you're right. Large, of course, can go with many words. So we'll say public garden. That's good. Okay, let's see. Daniela, can you give us another one?
Apartment building.
Yeah, very good. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go to number 2. Again, I'm sorry, guys. There are lots of examples, but let's go to number 2. So let's see. Gisela, can you tell us an example from number 2?
I'm working, Mama.
Mama.
I'm sorry, say it again, Gisela. I didn't hear you the first time. Can you say it again, Gisela? Public gardens. Yes, we said public gardens. Can you find another one? Okay, let's see. Junko? Junko, are you there? Can you tell us another one?
Yes.
Junko, can you tell us a collocation from number 2?
Community garden, public parks, community center.
Okay, well, you got a lot of them there. Okay, good. Yeah, the word community seems to be very popular, right? Okay. Okay, very good. All right. Let's go to number 3. Okay, so number 3, let's see. Olena, can you tell us one from number 3?
Community gardens.
Okay, We got that one. Can you tell us another one?
Grocery bill.
Grocery bill. Yeah, we talked about that one. There it is. Okay, good. Okay. All right, let's see. Miriam, can you tell us one more from number 3?
Fresh fruit.
Very good. Yeah. So notice fruit and fresh always go together, right? Okay.
And
All right. Very good. One more.
grow for free.
Grow. Say it again.
I think, yeah.
Grow for free. Now that's a good example. We don't normally think of those as co-locations. However, I might say for free would be a co-location. Yeah. So keep in mind, many words can go together. So grow, we can grow lots of things. So I would say for free would be a good example. Okay, let's go to number 4 now. So let's see. So Sergey mentioned local organization.
Excuse me.
Okay, question.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Can we say a local organization is like we can choose local organization for co-location?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So let's see. Sing Lee, can you tell us another one from number 4?
Community garden.
Okay, so there's one. Okay. Here's another one. Did you guys notice this one? Interested in. When you're interested in something, right? Yeah. So Sing Lee, are you interested in growing food? Are you interested in a community garden?
I have garden.
Oh, good. Okay, you can share some food with me. Okay, good. All right. Now, guys, obviously there are many, many co-locations in this article. We could spend the next 25 minutes looking and looking and looking. Let me go back for just a moment, since our time is just about up here. If I go back to number 1, let me highlight a couple more that we can think about. For example, growing vegetables. That would be a co-location, right? If we said group members, that would be a co-location. So again, part of the idea is these are not just words that are next to each other. These are words that are working together. Now be careful. Some co-locations are just focusing on grammar. For example, when I said some fruit, I mean, you could use the word some with lots of different things. So is this necessarily a co-location? Well, maybe or maybe not. They do go together. They do work together. But again, when we think of co-locations, we think about words that help kind of describe their relationship. So in this case, apartment building is a good example of a co-location. Some fruit, well, maybe not. We use the word some with lots of words. So it could be considered a grammatical relationship. And so often co-locations work with grammar. So for example, like a book, right? A book would be considered, yes, co-locating together. They work together. But we often like to think of co-locations on their meanings. So that's the idea here. Okay, now guys, you did a great job finding some examples here. So again, what I will do is when we're finished here today, I'm going to share this board with you so that you can go back and see some of the examples. And I'll probably highlight a few more just to help us. Okay, well guys, I'm sorry our time has gone a little long. So I'm going to go ahead.
John?
Question.
Yes. Can we say for find out or waiting for our collocation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so for example, when we find out, notice we don't say find in, we say find out. Yeah, so they work together. So again, that's, Saba, you'll find that co-locations are really how we group words together. Okay, so yeah, you'll find them everywhere. Okay, now guys, listen very carefully because I'm going to quickly tell you what next week is going to look like, because next week is going to be a little bit different. So first off, for homework, I'm going to share a co-locations activity with you, and you're going to do this activity for next week. Now, in the activity, you have 3 things that you're going to do. One of them is you're going to identify possible co-locations. Which words seem to go together? So in one activity, you'll see words that are going together, but some of those words may not go together. So be careful, okay? Be careful when you look at the activity. And then in another activity, you're going to make your own co-locations. So I'm going to give you a word, and you have to put it together with another word. So for example, if I said community, you would say maybe community garden. Okay, so that would be an example. Now, I took all of these examples from the article, from our community gardens article. So that way you can practice using some examples that we've already looked at. Okay, so this activity has 3 parts. I will share the activity when we're finished here with class. But please, 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 everybody, please make sure you read the instructions, because some of you did not read the instructions for the last activity. So please make sure you read the instructions before you begin, because last week, some of the activities you had to choose 2 answers, and some of you only put 1 answer. So please make sure you read the instructions. Okay, now